All right, guys, welcome back to Built for Profit. I am thrilled today to have Caleb, one state over in Georgia from where we're at in Alabama, to have a discussion. We were talking about SEC football. Thank the Lord. We're not talking about that on this podcast because I don't have a lot to talk about there. But yeah, Caleb, I'm fired up for you to be here. He runs a marketing agency called Immutable. Fired up to talk about that as well. He started this business. Excited to dive into that. So number one, Caleb, welcome to the podcast. And number two, let's just kick it off by who is Caleb? How do you even get into marketing? A little bit of background about yourself.
Yeah, man. Well, thanks, Austin, for having me. I'm super pleased to be here. It's always fun when I don't have to explain my accent to other people.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. So a little bit about me. I graduated college with a music degree, and music doesn't necessarily pay the bills. I was in full-time vocational ministry for quite some time and was at large churches in Tennessee, and then decided to move to Georgia to help my dad start a church.
Wow.
And I say that because once I was the creative person at the organization, and it
Yeah.
was everything got dumped on me. So from photos to websites to you name it, like everything, I was the only guy in the room that could do it. And so for a while there, I had done some freelance music work and writing piano charts and sheet music for some people we could go deep on with those things. Was from Liberty. That's where I graduated
Oh,
from.
cool. Okay.
And then I took a 9 to 5 at Chick-fil-A. And honestly, it was very humbling because I didn't know if I was going to get the job. We were having a new son and I needed something that was stable. And I found myself with a college degree sweeping parking lots and saying my pleasure.
Yeah.
I rose up there as a director of service. And during that time between the church and with Chick-fil-A, I started taking photos, and someone at Chick-fil-A said, "Hey, will you take my Christmas photo?" And I said, "Sure, absolutely." And this is the funniest thing, and you'll love this. They asked the magic question that every entrepreneur remembers for the first time. They said, "How much do you charge?"
Yeah. You're like $25.
That's exactly. I said, "You know what? $25. Just meet me at the end of this thing over here in this little thing in Campton, which is close to where your sister's from." And I just rolled up and trespassed on someone's property and took a photo of them and made $25. So then I had more people asking. And so I was like, I need to be legit. I need to have a website. I need to grow a brand. Well, in the process of building Immutable Photography, which Immutable came from a music term we had to have in college, like as a publishing company. So I bought the domain, had the name, created it, inspired by Seth Godin's go make up a word kind of thing.
Yeah, cool.
And so the long story short of it is when I built that website and built the brand for Immutable Photography at the time, I realized this is not easy. And I enjoy doing it. The lawnmower company that is a mile down the road from me has no shot at doing this. So that's when I started saying, why don't I build a business side? Because I don't see myself shooting weddings and family photos for the rest of my life. I want my weekends back. And so I started the marketing side, and that was over 14 years ago.
Wow.
And since then, we've helped generate over a $250 million in revenue for our clients. We've launched over 200 books. Probably about 15 of those were New York Times bestsellers. We've worked with everyone from Lecrae to Michael Hyatt to Kathy Lee Gifford, Dr. David Jeremiah, Matt Chandler. A lot of really cool people in that space. And then throughout that time, I worked my way up from marketing operations to being more of a chief marketing officer with brands and thought leaders. And I know that that's like a really fast forward, but I still have a passion for marketing. And the way I like to say it is marketing is movement, not manipulation.
Yeah.
And when you understand that, it kind of gets you away from that sleazy, salesy, markety thing that people are really frustrated with.
Yeah.
And so that's a little bit about my story when it comes to starting Immutable. Now we have a core team of 5 people that are in the main hub. And then we have an additional about 7 to 10 freelancers that we work with outside of that. And it's been really fun.
Okay, I have to pause. You said 14 years. Obviously, you dropped some big names there as well. I'm so curious. Okay, like what did the business look like maybe from the first 5 years or so? And then how did that shift? Did you know you were going to get into like book launches and that kind of stuff? Or how did it look initially and how has it pivoted into what it is today?
Yeah. So what's funny is because I started out in the creative space and doing like the more freelancer thing. This is okay. So this is a funny story. I was in a traveling band at Liberty,
Okay.
and some of the guys went off to Nashville and they started a band called Anthem Lights.
Okay.
And that band went viral. One of the guys now is Caleb and Kelsey's. They've been viral.
Okay.
I don't know if you've seen them, but
Yeah.
so I reached out to them and said, "Hey guys, your website's it's down." And they were like, "We don't need a website." And I'm like, "You have 250,000 followers.
Yeah.
You need a website." And he was like, "Sure. How much is it?" And I said, "Free." I was like, "But I just need to be able to put my name at the bottom of your website."
Yeah.
And so one thing led to another, and one of the guys that was in that band, his name was Alan Powell, and he did some stuff in the movies with like the movie that was the song. I don't know if you saw that thing come out
Okay.
about a decade ago, but he connected me with his publicist team, and he's like, "Hey, you did a great job on this website. Could you connect with my publicity team? And they will just tell you what to do. Just make it happen. I don't care. Just tell me where to send a check." And I actually made money off of that one. I think it was
Wow.
like 500
Okay.
bucks.
Yeah.
And so I connected with his publicity team, and they realized real fast that I could build everything that they needed, and from start to finish, from writing the copy, designing the stuff, creating, and I didn't have to have a lot of hand holding for it.
Yeah.
So they came to me and they were like, "Hey, could you start building these proposals for us and designing them out?" And I was like, "Sure, absolutely." So in that, there was lots of huge names, big events, and things like that because they had worked with the Kendricks and all these other large personal brands across the faith space.
Yeah.
And I was like, who's actually executing these campaigns for you?
Yeah.
And they were like, we don't know. I was like, well, we can do that for you.
Yeah.
We've been doing it in the business space. At that point, I had done some stuff with a small company at the time called Lane's Barbecue, and we helped grow them into a really large rubs and seasoning
Okay.
business.
Yeah.
And they've become a national and international brand. And so we applied the same principles of business into what we were doing for this other space in the books. And so one thing led to another. And the first author reached out and was like, "Will you run my campaign?" I was like, "Absolutely." And then one turned into 200.
Oh my gosh.
And so as I did that, I built out a team, a lot of kids that were coming fresh out of college and trained them from the ground up. And at
Yeah.
that time, it was more of Caleb leading the show and having a team of assistants that would kind of help me. But now it's grown into more of like what a real team would look like when it comes
Yeah.
to growing and scaling companies.
Yeah, that's remarkable. Okay, one side note, obviously, you had your music. I see the guitar in the background. Obviously, you
Yeah.
still have that music. You talked about you're even serving at your church currently when the Christmas service is coming up. Did you just play music, I guess, serving in the church world all throughout building this business, or did you have to press pause for a little bit to focus on the business, or what did that look like?
Yeah, there was a tipping point, I would say a couple years in when I did this that I couldn't spread myself too thin. I was
Yeah.
having to face a point, and so I stepped out of the paid vocational ministry and went into what we would call like the tent making side of things. And I realized that there was a massive opportunity for me to still help people with global initiatives, be able to help them go further and reach people and help them with transformation, whatever they're looking for. And since making that, it's been really fun because I just serve as a volunteer now. And it's really fun. I don't get paid for what I do for that. And I'm okay with that because it's kind of fun just to be able to show up. I did transition away from my dad's church into the church we're at right now. And I'll send you one of the Christmas Eve services. I'll
Yeah,
send you
please do.
from that. Yeah. So it's been really fun with that. And, now it's like I kind of get the best of both worlds. And the church that I'm at now, it would be considered, I guess, a mega church, but it doesn't feel that way. So we'll probably have roughly about like 7,000 people come through with these
Wow.
Christmas Eve services. And just being able to show up and use the gifts in that way is really fun. And of course, they ask me marketing questions and I can't help myself.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Absolutely. I love it. Man, Caleb, that's powerful stuff. So, okay, so tell us, obviously you got your core team and then your contractors. What are you dreaming about? I mean, what does Immutable look like 5, 10 years down the road?
Yeah, it's interesting you say that. I've been working on our 5-year vision. So really building off of that marketing is movement, we are getting very serious about we have some magic sauce over here and I like to call it our move framework. And I want to make that more available to people when it comes to creating alignment and strategy and creating movement in their organization. And we've seen this work with thought leaders, we've seen it work with digital entrepreneurs, with people with e-commerce, small businesses. you name it, because it's a universal thing. It's not bad marketing advice. It's just conflicting. So you'll go hear people like Hermosi, you'll go hear people like Gary Vee, you'll go hear people like Dan Martell. All these different people say this is what you should be doing, but they're speaking to the masses.
Yeah.
And from my experience, there's only some universal truths that apply across the board. But in general, you have to then dive down deeper to what kind of movement are you trying to create.
Yeah.
So move for us, it's not just a methodology that we have, it's actually how we think, we build, and we lead. And so move stands for message. So having a clear, honest communication that's compelling, that connects with
Yeah.
people and in a real way.
Yeah.
O is offer, a value driven offer that
Yeah.
actually helps people with transformation and take the next step that they're looking to do. And transformation could be as simple as I have a broken toilet,
Yeah. Yeah.
or I want this really cool Kamado Joe grill, or whatever that is. Or it could also be a life transformation thing with coaching programs, masterminds, all of that,
Yeah.
of helping someone get where they want to go. V is velocity, so systems and execution that creates consistent and forward momentum. And then
Okay.
the E is the experience. We believe in a human centered experience with AI and all the things that are happening right now. Humanity and that experience that you experience personally is a huge part, I think, in marketing. And people don't realize that, but if you got somebody that's in a truck and they give somebody a bad experience, that's really bad marketing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we talked about Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A has marketing built in with My Pleasure, and
Yeah.
so when people see that or they don't hear that, it changes the customer experience. And
Yeah.
I like to say that our team is people driven, data informed, and AI powered. And that's kind
Oh,
of the
cool.
approach that we like to go with that.
Yeah, I love that, Caleb. I mean, you mentioned the Chick-fil-A stuff. I was like, you making that human. I love the experience, the human connection experience side of that. I was just thinking, even like everybody knows that Chick-fil-A does even the Christmas videos, all right? I haven't even seen the one from this year, but I remember pulling that up. I mean, this is me and my wife, no kids. I'm pulling up the little Christmas video that's made for kids, and I'm like tearing up watching this Christmas
Mhm.
video that Chick-fil-A's created as a marketing effort to make a connection to their audience. And yeah, there's so much truth behind what you're speaking. Okay, so as you focus in on building that move out. I love that. What do you feel like right now is the thing that Unmutable has momentum in? The thing that y'all are like, man, we're doing this really, really well.
Yeah. So, I mean, this past year, we've been initiating that with our clients and walking them through it, which has been really fun. Creating the quarterly initiatives, I think, is a big deal as well. And giving that, because you can only do so much in a quarter, and
Yeah.
prioritizing what you focus on really helps you with the growth. I think that what we've really been able to help our clients do this last season, I'd say Q4, Q3, just facing all the weird issues with the recession and trying to still grow their business and be more operationally efficient with what they're
Yeah.
doing. And with AI, it's been so rapidly changing. I think there's a lot of people that have just they throw it in AI and they copy and paste. And we've created some really cool systems with what we do with AI. I'll be honest with you, Austin. We used to hide that we used AI. We were very early adopters,
Yeah.
incredibly early. And it helped us with our efficiency, and we were able to crank out punch a much heavier punch than what people were paying for. And I didn't tell them that that was because of AI. And then AI became a buzzword, and I was like, whoa, guys, we need to say we build these marketing AI systems, and they're
Yeah.
so good that New York Times bestsellers don't know that we're writing for
Yeah.
AI
Yeah.
for them. And they don't. It's true. It's actually a fact that we send over a copy that we've written for emails and landing pages, and a lot of it was human initiated. AI puts it in the right frameworks that we've created,
Yeah.
and then we put that back to the client, and they're like, "This is amazing." And that was a huge eye opener for me, because at the end of the day, it's more about the outcome, it's more about the
Yeah. For
deliverable
sure.
than it is about the process. As a business owner, you have to focus on people and process. But for a
Yeah.
client's perspective, all they care about is, how'd you make me feel? And did you deliver on what you said you were going to
Yeah.
do?
Yeah. Exactly. That's right. No, that is a great point. I think everybody needs to hear that. I think once again, the process, I actually love hearing this phrase, but like any system that you currently have as a business owner isn't factual. Like it needs to change if you're not creating the outcomes that you desire as a business owner for your clients, right? And I love that the experience. And did you do what you said you were going to do? So I love that so much. Okay, on the flip side of the momentum is like, what's the bottleneck or the hole in the boat currently right now, Caleb, for you as a business owner that you're like focused on, or this wall that you're trying to break through?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say for me, we've done a lot of what I would call bespoke, boutique, custom built solutions for our
Mhm.
clients. And the bottleneck on that, a lot of it comes down to me personally, because I'm an inventor. I don't know if you do the working genius, but
Yeah, we actually
I'm
just did it with our team.
okay. So I'm an innovative galvanizer,
Got it.
which is kind of dangerous because it's like I will go solve problems or I'll create problems and then solve the problems and then immediately push it into activating the team around it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Thankfully, my executive assistant has discernment, so she's like a gate for me. But I think the bespoke thing is very difficult to productize, and that's why I'm really excited about what we're doing with the Move framework, and then taking those initiatives, what we call like a big three of what you're focusing on for that quarter, and saying we can create a project for you, we can help you source that, we can do whatever those initiatives are, whether we do it, fulfill it, or somebody else fulfills it, your internal team fulfills it, doesn't really matter. That has been a big eye opener for me to be able to let go a little bit. And
Yeah,
because I work my way up from the ground up in marketing operations, I can empathize with our team or with other marketing teams about what founders do to them. Like
yeah,
they're the
yeah,
last one to get it. They're the first one to have to put it out, and they're the one that gets held to the fire more than anybody.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so with that being said, I think the bespoke thing it's been great because we do have leverage situations with a lot of our partners that we have, meaning we can do the same amount of work and get the rev share on some of those items, but not
Yeah,
everybody is like that. And so it's hard to scale custom, and that's been something that I've realized has been a big bottleneck, as well as just myself in general.
yeah,
But we've been, working on that slowly but surely of how can we systemize and create an amazing experience and outcome for our clients that are not just in the core, 6 or 7 that we rotate through, as partners with us, but how can we expand that past that point? And
yeah,
I think the framework is a great start in being able to help people in that and not, I like to say, look, there's so much marketing. I promise you, you could take all the agencies in the world, combine them into one agency, and they still can't get through it. So
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
actually a big fan of internal marketing teams because I think that, well, for one, they can help you with other things that are not just marketing.
yeah,
But the disconnect there, Austin, that I've seen as a chief marketing officer is between the boardroom and the operational side of it.
yeah,
Most founders don't know how to speak marketing, and they get frustrated that their team is not executing, and their team don't speak executive. They just see a
yeah,
million ideas that they can't execute on. And so being able to help fill that gap has been something that we're very excited about just because we can translate it. We understand what it's like to be an executive. We throw punches back and we can take them. Like that's
yeah,
in a boardroom, you got to be able to do that.
yeah,
And then with the people that are internal, especially equipping them to help them understand why they're doing what they're doing and not just only being focused on operations, but focus on outcomes. That's
yeah,
been something that we've seen really take off. And I think a lot of people really like that because they don't trust agencies. And I'm just going to tell it. All right, here's a hack for you, Austin, everybody that's listening. You should not hire an agency for a long period of time. The point of hiring an agency for most businesses is to see how they operate, take their systems, and then hire it internally and pass that off to someone else. Now, we have had ridiculously long track records with our clients because what we've done is we build a system, we help them staff the system, and then we go build another one. And
oh, okay,
and usually it's because the entrepreneur has other initiatives and core offers that they're trying to market.
yeah,
And so that's been really good for us and it's been great for the client because they have better margin, they have better experience, they have faster thing, but they don't overcommit to just thinking, "Oh, I'm gonna go hire a head of marketing or a marketing director, a marketing manager, a social media manager, and
yeah,
expect them to be a miracle worker." Like
yeah,
that
yeah,
that if you just go hire somebody and think that they're going to come with a playbook inside of them, 9 times out of 10, that's never gonna
that's
happen.
right, that's right, yeah. Okay, Caleb, I'm fascinated by this because obviously you've been custom building all these things. You have the framework, which I think is, like, brilliant. So for you though, I'm trying to think like there's so many scenarios that you can walk in the doors of a business of how they need marketing help, right? So like it could be a landscaper that's never done a single thing ever and there's nobody on the team to help to a, I don't know, $15 million whatever restaurant that has a social media manager and all kinds of random people on there. So I'm curious for you, how do you even tackle that approach? Or they're kind of like themed. Obviously, you have the movement framework or move framework, but when you go in, you have to assess the situation. Kind of coach us through that. How do you think about that? And then how do you say, like, this is the best value add that we can bring to that unique situation for that business?
Yeah. So that's a great question. My first response to that is the majority of the time, a business owner knows that something's not right and they're frustrated
Yeah.
that they're not getting the growth that they want. So we try to first identify what is that growth metric that you're trying to actually accomplish.
Yeah.
And then when we get under the hood, we look at where's the movement stopping. Now, as a numbers guy and as a finance guy, you're going to love what I'm going to say, but when you think of a customer journey, a growth engine, some people call it funnels. I don't like the word funnel for it because it's bigger than that. A funnel could just be one leg of the journey.
Yeah.
You need to know what those numbers are at the different areas so that you can see where the movement is stopping.
Yeah.
And it could be as simple as the guy who coming from Panama City up through the middle back roads of Alabama. This guy has marketing. He's got like 10 signs on the side of the road that's like fresh fruit, boiled peanuts, all these things, right? And then you get up there and it's like, okay, this is a cool little store. No, it's just a dude with a truck sitting next to a tent. But he has great marketing. He has numbers. He knows how many cars are coming by his place. He knows how many
Yeah.
people are showing up. He knows what his average order value is based upon what he sells. At least he should. He can pull that
Yeah.
up in Square. But most business owners are afraid to look at the numbers. I think
Yeah.
partly because it's going to tell them a story that they don't like.
Exactly.
But at the same time, I think it's important to know what those different steps are so that you can see where the movement is stopping. And instead of trying to fix the entire system at one time, you say, okay, where's the priority? I always like to start with the offer first and work my
Yeah.
way outwards. And, we've been part of the digital marketer with Ryan Dice community for a long time. And he's got like the 8 stages, which is awareness, engagement, subscription, conversion, excitement, ascension. What is the seventh one is, I think,
Dude, I was about
endorsements
to
or
be
like
so impressed.
testimonials.
I
And
was
then
like, I can rattle these off.
the last one is affiliate, which is like a promoter for you. And I think that depending on what business and what vertical you're in and the market that you're serving, a lot of people, you can actually manufacture word of mouth advertising and you don't have your awareness becomes the person that is referring you instead of worrying about social media ads or social media. I can tell
Yeah.
you right now, probably 95% of small businesses, their social media is not even important.
Yeah.
Like, for example, I had someone text me yesterday and they said, would they have a dentistry business and they're struggling with their social media. And I'm like, nobody goes on their social media to look at a dentist. You're playing the wrong game.
Yeah.
And when you understand the game and you understand where your people live, that's when you start to decide what tactics. And we get tactics happy and we chase all these random acts of marketing, what I like to call. And most of the time people do them halfway. And in fact, I do have a free training, Austin. I'm not trying to sell anybody on
No, I
anything, but
love
if you
this.
want a
This is
free
great.
training, you can go to unmutable.com, do like what's stopping you in your marketing. It's free. It's 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Most people will do the short version of it is most people will do halfway and not build a bridge all the way across to get people where they want to go. And then
Yeah.
they'll come to us and say, well, we've tried webinars and they don't work. We've tried paid ads and they don't work. We've tried Pinterest, social media, and it doesn't work. And when I hear that, I say, well, they probably didn't connect it all the way through.
Yeah.
They probably don't know their numbers and they probably don't know what is your conversion rate. Like if you can't tell me what is your cost per acquisition, most people don't know that answer. And I'll give you a funny one. So I actually met Russell Brunson 2 weeks ago. I was talking to him about a funnel. We were selling a $3 ticket to an event and our cost of acquisition was $19. Now, the numbers guy on your side, you're like, that's not good.
Why are you doing that?
We actually saw a ROAS, which is your return on ad spend, of 2, which means for every dollar we put in for ads, we got $2 back, which for a live event, we would call that as like a loss leader because for most live events that people promote, they don't make money on tickets. They make money on the offers that they sell at the event. So basically just cover your expense. Like Alex Ramosi talked about it with his big book launch. He spent 5 million, made 6 or 7 million. He wasn't worried about the initial offers making money because he knew that he was going to make $100 million over a weekend. And so that's the way that the big boys play. is they understand what their cost of acquisition is because they know that they can convert people after that.
Yeah.
So when you understand that you can't be stuck in a cash flow game, you got to focus on enterprise level value. And so if you understand that, you got to be willing to pay for it. And so the biggest lesson I learned, especially with paid advertising, as people are looking at how they do their systems, is that if you know your numbers and you know what you're willing to spend to get someone, that determines the budget. So you can't
Yeah.
go into it saying, I'm going to spend $1,000 a month. Well, guess what? If it costs you $1,000 to get a lead, you're going to get one lead. And if your closing rate is 50%, you've officially not made any money.
That's right. Yeah.
And so whether that be through paid advertising or event awareness or doing it in your local chamber of commerce, whatever you're spending, you need to know what your cost of acquisition is. And that might tell you a little bit too about your business model and your structure of, yeah, we need to change our pricing or we need to change that initial offer with some add-ons, upgrades. Would you like to biggie size this? The
Yeah.
McDonald's,
Yeah. Yeah.
I saw a clip of Hermosi this morning that said that McDonald's makes like 17 cents on a hamburger. They make all the rest of their margin on French fries and drinks.
Wow.
But without the hamburger, McDonald's doesn't exist. So you
Yeah.
have to make sure that your numbers make sense so that you can grow and scale it. And when you start thinking about really marketing and doing those things, that's when for the bigger systems at scale, if you don't have a model that works, you would look at me and think I'm crazy if I'm willing to pay $20 for a $3 thing.
Yeah.
But if I could tell you, if every dollar you put in, you get two back, that's infinitely scalable.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
you have to have models and systems that work in that way.
Caleb, that is, I feel like we could spend the next hour dissecting what you just presented because there's so much value. And once again, I mean, the theme of it for me is for people to have to know, you have to evaluate based on what your current numbers are to make steps forward. And what you just said, a lot of people are so scared to ever look at those numbers because they're either going to tell them something that they don't want to know or they're going to get confused about it or whatever. But I love that you're willing to say, like, let's dive into the people that we serve to really understand, like, what are their numbers now and then understand what lanes they need to be running in. Because the point you made, I've actually never heard that before. The point you made about some of these big guys or big gurus you see on YouTube or whatever, they're blanket stating this is how marketing
Mhm.
works for so many people. But in reality, even with conversations I've had with other business owners, I'm like, you need to be on Instagram. And they're like, well, I'm local to like a 4 mile radius around my office. I don't need to be on Instagram. I need to be like out in the community doing those things. Right. So you have to understand what works for you in your business. I think there's so much power there. Okay. So I'm curious for you as an owner, you're 14 years in, and if you could go back to early stages of business and wish you would have tracked something that you're currently tracking now or measuring something just from your company, like what would have told your younger self to say, like, you need to keep an eye on this because if you keep an eye on this, you'll know that you're building a healthy company.
You're going to love this. I wish I would have known about simple numbers, profit first, LER.
Yeah.
LER is a big one. Just understanding the finance piece of it, because then I would have made decisions based upon offers around that and staffing selection. And I think that we're at a good place now, but the natural tendency is just to be like, we need more team, go hire somebody. And then you get advice. Like I had advice from a billionaire. He's had two companies acquired by Warren Buffett. He's like, bro, you need to have people that are full time so that you can do all this stuff. And so I took his advice and ran with it because this guy's a billionaire. So why would
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
not do it? And it turned out not to be good advice in my situation because he runs hot and is kind of frantic with how he does things. And it's not very operationally great. And if you look at your margin, you look at your team, you look at the LER, which is your labor efficiency ratio, which sounds super nerdy. And there's spreadsheets that pop this stuff out. I love that book, Simple Numbers, and
Yeah.
also Profit First. I love both of those.
Yeah.
But once I understood the numbers, it started, okay, maybe you should have freelancers doing certain things and you should have core team doing others. I never really understood the difference between what admin meant
Yeah.
versus, having direct labor. And those numbers to me, I wish people would teach that to you earlier on in the game. Like I never had that, like, I thought about writing a book that's like bad business. Like here's 30 lessons and it's the whole thing satire, which is like, you should always pay early and collect late.
Yeah.
Like, just things like that bad business advice that I went through the whole,
Yeah.
decade plus of doing. And if I would have started it out and treated it instead of focusing on just delivering value, but like actually creating a real business model
Yeah.
early, and instead of trading time, looking at like what kind of capital do I need? And we've never taken a loan at all. We've all been purely cash flow with our business,
Yeah.
but understanding how real business works and not just can we market well for people, but like building a team, this is what you need. Just the simple things like that. It would have saved a lot of gray hair. I can tell you that.
Yeah, that's a fantastic answer, Caleb. I love once again, read those 2 books are fantastic books. I recommend those things all the time as well. Simple Numbers by Greg Crabtree and Profit First by Mike McAllowitz, I think is his last name. But yeah, those are must reads, I think, in my opinion, just to learn, like you said, because most people, when you get into business, you're not naturally bent towards like how do you create a profit, what's your gross margin, what all these things that you have to understand as a business owner to understand if you're healthy or not. Because the reality of it, Caleb, obviously you know this from those books, but the reality of any business is that the 100% of the performance is dictated by the financials of that business, right? That's how you see the scoreboard of a business. And so whether you're going to be acquired one day or if you want to try to increase cash flow, whatever it is, the scoreboard is the financials. I think that's just a beautiful thing that you've learned that and adopted that. Is there something that have you run the play? Like, what are you tracking on a consistent basis now that allows you to understand that we're tracking in the right direction?
Yeah, the LER was a big one for me just because I realized we went through a couple different phases. So
Yeah.
as I went through past data, I was pushing the team too hard for what we were making, and it felt
Yeah.
good in my pocket.
Yeah.
And it was probably good in the standpoint of they were young college grads and like
Had the
that kind of
energy.
side. But as you try to grow and scale a business, you got to go get people that are, having real salaries,
Yeah.
which it does feel good to me knowing that I've got multiple people on our team that we pay incredibly well. And I hear other people talking about salaries, and I'm just over here twiddling my thumbs and just saying, wow, we pay our team way higher than what they're complaining about making.
Yeah.
And that's been felt really good. But in order to get there, if you don't know those numbers of how you're adding value, we did. I did have to fire somebody a few months ago and let them go. And a part of that was looking at the LER and
Yeah.
saying, that piece of the business isn't really bringing in the revenue that we need, and we haven't missed a step since he's been gone.
Yeah.
And he was a great guy. That was very difficult to do. He's very talented in what he was doing. I mean, come to find out after he was two-timing us and was working with multiple businesses, and then he updated his LinkedIn profile to show that he worked at earlier years than he actually worked with us, which was kind of shady.
Yeah.
But that being said, like the LER was a big one for me, and not just looking at top line, which everybody gets excited about.
Yep.
And also the other part, for me for 2026 is to get me more into the admin category and get out of the direct labor side
It's good.
and being treated as admin. And then, I don't know if acquisition is something that I'm going to see at Immutable. I do think that there are things that we'll probably build from a tech perspective that I think could get acquired. And I almost see that the Unmutable team is more of our like corporate structure, and we could build out, initiatives and LLCs underneath it that
Yeah.
we could sell off just one piece of that. So like maybe create a web agency and sell the web agency, or create this cool piece of software or this proprietarial thing and just sell that one thing off, and then just have this corporate team that kind of works to make sure everything is working on top of it. But yeah, I would say the LER was a big one for me. It was like pulling my teeth to get me to fill out that spreadsheet. But once I
Yeah.
did, I was like, oh, so you mean to tell me that there's like numbers that can give me forecasting
Yeah.
and see how my team is doing? And then I can go back to my team and being like, hey, you want to get paid more? Well, guess what? That's not happening until we can figure out XYZ.
Yeah, it's such a great point, and I love the analogy for people that have not read the book. The analogy he uses in the book is like an NFL team and the salary cap of an NFL team, and
Hmm.
thinking about your business that way, right? So an NFL team might only have $100 million to spend between all the people on their team, including people in the back office and all of it, right? So can you operate as a business underneath your salary cap to make sure that you have margin to do so? I love that's had an impact like it has on your business, Caleb. I love it. Well, I feel like we could talk for hours on end. This has been fascinating. We
Yeah,
might
we
have
just scratched the surface, bro. I told you, I was like, man, we could like marketing. I could talk about it all day, every day. And I will say that the simple thing. So one of our clients that we've worked with for a long time, he's amazing. Go buy all of his books and sign up for everything. Is John Acuff, and
Yeah.
he has a soundtrack which is like a repetitive thought you repeat over all to yourself all the time. And one of them is "Some beats none." When you think of your marketing, even a simple bridge from start, like from before to after, gets people across from where they are to where they want to be.
Mm-hmm.
And most people over engineer their marketing of feeling like they got to build a highway bridge. And I'm telling you that you don't have to do that to get movement. Like, build something, get a proof of concept, test it out, try it out. Even if it's as simple as the guy on the side of the road with 10 road signs. At Austin, when you think about movement, if you're in a car, you're driving down the road, road signs are marketing.
Yeah.
And you listen to your GPS, and we're all worried about being over promotional or over, salesy when it comes to our marketing. But if you're going to Disney and you load up from Birmingham, your GPS is going to tell you you're 400 miles from Orlando. And it's not going to talk to you for a little while, but it's going to let you know that you're on the right path. But as you get closer to where you're going, you want that GPS to talk more to you
Yeah.
because you don't want to get lost. You have a place that you're going and you trust that the GPS is going to get you there.
Yeah.
And in the same way, marketing follows the same format. You should not be afraid of over communicating to people and letting them know this is where you need to go. And so as you're riding down the road or as you're looking, just see what other people are doing. And even something as simple as making sure that your lead form on your website doesn't say contact us. Like, give them a compelling reason to connect with you
Yeah.
and give them something like, this is your next step. So if you're here, let's do this quick audit for you. That's going to feel like so easy. Like, you're going to leave this with clarity of what you need to do next. And from your side, that's exactly what I would do. Give them a free offer for them to connect with you.
Yeah.
And then after that, you show them the plan. Like, now that we've established your plan, let's help you get where you want to go. And if you look at it from that service mindset, the marketing is movement mindset, I promise you it will unlock a lot of things. And once you actually do it, that's when the ahas start to happen. Like, you're going to DM me after the holidays or whatever, Austin, and you're going to say, bro, marketing is actually moving. Because once you actually get into it, that's when you realize, oh yeah, I see where it's stopping now.
Yeah.
It's stopping because our receptionist wasn't nice, or it's stopping because our lead form wasn't connecting and we didn't realize we had 100 leads in there and we weren't following up with speed to follow up with those people.
Yeah.
Is happening because the people that we have in our system, we forget to communicate with them and let them know we've got something new to offer them or check in with them. It's stopping because you forgot to give a call to action on a post, or, like, whatever it is, there's a bazillion things it could be. But in general, when you look at it as marketing as movement, and then you say, where's the movement stopping? Then you put your priority of fixing that thing. And then once you do that, it unclogs it and you start to see results.
Yeah, that's so good, Caleb. I love it. Very well said, man. Okay, well, if people want to know more about you, Unmutable, where do they go to find you?
Yeah, so I hang out on Instagram. I've been a little quieter over the last few weeks because fourth quarter's been crazy. But yeah, personally, you can connect with me on Instagram at Caleb Peavy, but you can also get the free stuff at unmutable.com. And we have that resource that, is free. And I'd recommend watching that 10-minute training. It explains a lot. And then, do everything that Austin says when it comes to your finances. And also, just have fun. Have fun with the
Yeah,
marketing. Don't take yourself too seriously.
I love that, Caleb. Wise advice. I love it so much. Thanks so much for being on here, man. I really appreciate you chatting it up, going deep in on the world of marketing, and really enjoyed it.
Yeah, appreciate you, man.